This installment of the Sheriff Show will take place in the jail where the corrections officers work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, taking care of 260 plus inmates. We'll be covering many different areas as the show progresses, and I hope you enjoy this installment of the Sheriff Show.
Many times I get asked, what's it like being in jail? What's it like getting booked into the jail? What does it take to get released from jail? What's it take to get money put on someone's books? My son needs medication. What do I got to do to get that medication to him? Those questions and many more will be answered today on the Sheriff Show. This here is our intake waiting area. When an inmate's brought up to our intake, they're brought into this room right here. They're sent into one of these chairs, as you can see. The officer sits down at the table. At that point right there, he gives an opportunity to sit down and actually fill out his paperwork to allow the person to be processed into our jail. The person sits in this waiting area here until the intake officers are allowed to, or have a time to bring them in there and get them booked into our facility. Now we've got our classification director, Michael Spidell. He's going to review the intake process.
Hello. During our intake process, it starts out with our intake waiting where our arresting agency. They'll bring the fellows in here through our sally port doors. From there, one of our officers will then come around to our book or pat down counter over here. Depending on their charges, they'll be patted down. Strips can involve anything from drug-related charges to felony charges. After the officer then pats them down, their property will then be brought over here. I'll usually place the inmate over here by my counter. We'll then go through a series of questions. Our questions will start off, we have basic questions where we will discuss their education. We will go over current employment. We also discuss their address, getting all this basic information, height, weight. We will do emergency contacts. In case if something is to happen to them while they're in here, there's somebody we can contact. We then will go to their screen where we have their charges and their booking origin, where they were arrested at. I'll go through these questions. I'll update those depending on pre-charges and warrants. From there, we'll then log the inmate's property. That'll be logged on here. We'll usually take that, we'll place it in one of our great tubs, or we have black bags, we'll label that, we'll place that in our property room. The inmate then, he will finish his booking procedure, and then he'll be brought over to our back counter over here. This is where our pictures will be taken. We do all mug shots and we'll do prints. Our mug shots will be taken for all inmates who come through the jail. Everybody has to receive one. Our fingerprints depend on your charges. If you come in on any new pre-charges, you will then be fingerprinted, or in the case of which you may have a warrant that involves criminal charges, you'll also be fingerprinted. This is our background for our mug shot. We have everybody stand up on the back of the wall. Officers will then take the picture from right over here. Our camera is straight forward in front of us. We will take the face view picture first, and then we'll do a side view profile, and that will log into our system as well. From there, then we send over information, and then we'll go on to our fingerprint room. Our fingerprint machine actually is a more current machine that we now use. All fingerprints and data that is submitted will be directly sent to the FBI. From there, red flags may pop up where it could indicate if these offenders may have such things as warrants or anything out of any other areas. It's something we've had around here currently. It's kind of nice, keeps everything intact. The camera right here, we also use our camera to take current pictures as well. I know we mentioned that we take a picture in here in our intake room. This information is also sent out with the FBI. We will take full face pictures and side profile pictures. These images can also be linked with the FBI in case offenders may also have anything else pending where they can relate it to that. Alright, after our printing and photo procedures are done, we then go to our housing of the inmates. We have temporary housing. Our stage 1 and stage 2, they can be used during our booking procedures while we're asking questions. They can also be used for suicide watch when we have inmates that come in that are flagged as a suicide risk. we can keep them in stage 1 and stage 2, keep a closer eye on them so we know what's going on. We also have our holding cells. We have hold cells 1, 2, 3, and 4. We have our hold cells 1, 2, and 4. Our hold cells are used for housing on inmates that come through intake. Our holding facility and intake, we hold up to 17 hours. This also serves as a detox time for inmates who may come in high on any type of drugs or on alcohol, drunk off of alcohol. Our alcohol time can be set out. We have charts that give you your hours on how long you'll set out your intoxication time. 1, 2, and 3 are typically used for our male inmate or our male offenders who come in. They will then be housed in these. Hold 4, which is actually blocked off, we use for our female inmates. And they'll do the 17-hour, and then from there we will go to our dress out procedure. Our inmates will then be issued their items. They will be classified. We classify depending on current charges, prior charges, assaultive convictions, current charges may be assaultive. That will all come into effect to determine where they will then be housed. Once we determine that, we have our housing out here in our A through M unit, where inmates will be housed out there. Our females and some of our males, our pre-sentence males, will all be housed in the A through M corridor. Our sentenced inmates or anybody with DOC holds, parole holds, probation violations, anything along those lines we keep over in our O block unit. After they are then determined on which block they will go to, we will then move them on our board and adjust our count, as you see everything located here.
Next, we've got Sergeant Angel Brashear. She's going to discuss magazines for inmates.
Inmates may have 1 magazine per week. It can be dropped off every Sunday from 1 p.m. till 7 p.m. We basically accept all magazines with a few restrictions. We do not accept fighting magazines, hunting, weapons. Obviously, we don't accept anything with drugs. We accept Playboy and Playgirl only. Those are the only 2 pornographic magazines we do allow in the facility. The inmate's name needs to be on the outside of the magazine when you drop it off, so we make sure it gets where it needs to go. And that's basically the limits on the magazines. We no longer accept newspapers for the inmates. We do allow books if they're shipped in directly from the publisher. They have to be soft paperback, no hardback books. And once again, they have to come straight from the publisher.
Today I've got Nurse Terry Hamilton. She's going to go over the medication drop-off procedures with you.
Hi, I'm Terry. I'm the nurse administrator here at the Delaware County Jail. If you have a loved one that's here in the jail and they're on medication, please give me a call, go over medication with me. You're welcome to bring them up here to the jail. I'll be glad to look over them, let you leave what your loved one is allowed to have, and we can discuss their health. I appreciate your input very much. We have MedPass 2 times a day. We set up the medication and pass it out at its appropriate times.
Next, we've got Lieutenant Sharon Droopmiller, our head matron here in our facility.
I'm the head matron, which a lot of people would call it the mother of the jail. I supply all the needs of the inmates and the officers in food, clothing, all of the supplies that are used in the jail period. I deal with the budgets, control the budget, and the expense. It can be very time consuming because you have to, in turn of the cost of everything going up so much today, you really have to take your time in searching, research, and not give, it has to be a job you give 100% into to keep those budgets where they need to be. I also work with the inmates here in the kitchen. If my girls are on vacation or go anywhere, or on a leave or something would happen, then I also come in here and cook as they do. We have deliveries probably 3 times a week that we have deliveries coming here to feed the inmates. That is every week. We have supplies brought in twice from 2 different companies twice a week. So it's just we don't have the room per se to hold all of our stuff. Storage room, so it's kind of, we just have to have the orders to come in different days, so that, you know, by that time we've used most of that up. We have 7 inmate workers here that work in the kitchen, and we have 2 in our laundry room that do laundry for most of the time 300 people. We only have, of course, the 1 washer and the 2 washers and the 3 dryers, but they work 24/7, and the laundry is open 24/7. They pretty much are in there all the time. Our menus are also set up, and I work right with a licensed dietitian. They're reviewed, and every year, annually, is something that her and I work together. We have hot meals here, and in my time that I've been here and what I do, I have talked to several other jails and facilities, and they have mostly cold meals. Our meals are pretty much homemade, from scratch. We have spaghetti, we have Spanish rice, we have chili, vegetable soup, and it's all pretty much done from scratch, which helps our budget a lot. And our meals are very good versus the cold meals for most jails. And like I was saying, we clothe and wash personals, beddings, and laundry for approximately 300 people. I have 2 inmate workers that pretty much work in this laundry room 24/7. And as I was saying, we have the 3 dryers and the 2 washers, which does, you know, if a normal person at home would do this, that would be very hard to get done. But it's a constant battle. And then as far as the machinery, any of the machinery that would go bad or something go wrong with it, I have to also make sure that that is taken care of. Someone is contacted and up here to fix it, and unfortunately it has to be ASAP. We are trying right now to maintain our washers because they are good Milnor washers, which are hard to find today, and won't hold up as these have, unfortunately, and we've had these in our jail ever since this building has been built since 1992. And we kind of baby them, well, we baby them a lot. But our main thing is because you can't buy today what normally you could buy, but it's really hard with the years and the age on them, but we do the best that we can.
Next, we've got Lieutenant Kathy Blanton, Head of Jail Operations.
Hi, I'm Lieutenant Blanton, and I'm going to talk to you today about inmate visitation. The process for inmate visitation is inmates have visits, and they are authorized according to the classification of the inmate. Inmates are housed in the blocks according to the classification, and that's the way the visitation procedure goes. All inmates are allowed to have 3 adult visitors on their visitation list, and the adults must be the age of 18 years or older. They must have a valid Indiana ID to be able to visit. They can have the 3 adult visitors, and then they can have however many children that they have on their visitation list. If the child does not have the last name of the inmate, then they may be asked to produce a birth certificate to prove that the child is their biological child, to be able to visit. Anybody that is on probation, parole, on house arrest, or is a victim of a crime that involves the inmate may not be permitted to visit. Visitation lists are changed the last Sunday of every month, and they can change. It's up to the inmate to decide who they want put on that visitation list. They must take off one of the 3 names that they originally put on in order to be able to put someone else on there. To visit, you must have a valid Indiana driver's license, and it has to have a picture ID with it. If you live with, say, a 60-mile radius, you do not have to be on inmates visitors list, but you must show ID stating that you do live outside that 60-mile radius. Now, if one of the other 3 visitors that are on their list has already visited, then you cannot. They only get 3 visits during a visitation session that lasts 15 minutes. So if they've exceeded their 15 minutes and 3 visits, that person from out of state or out of town will not be allowed to visit for that day. Okay, visitation varies according to time. All visitors that are coming in to visit must be signed in 30 minutes prior to the onset of visitation. Visitation times vary due to classification. We do have visitations in the morning and in the evening. The morning sessions usually start at 7:30, so if you're coming to visit for the morning session, you need to be here at least at 7 o'clock to sign in for visits. We do have an evening session that starts at approximately 6:30, so you would need to be here at 6 o'clock to sign in for that visitation session. Okay, if an inmate is on disciplinary lockdown for a behavior issue that has occurred here in the jail, they will not be permitted to visit. Even if you're on the visiting set, their visitation list, they will not be able to visit, so the inmate controls that.
What we've got here is our main corridor here in the jail. We've got approximately 200 people housed right here in this hallway alone. Next, we've got Officer Rodney Parker. He's going to go over the commissary procedure.
What we have here is our commissary machine. It's actually placed in our lobby at the Delaware County Jail. What they do is people that want to put money on an inmate's books, they'll come up here, they'll go to our control booth, and they'll get a number, which is the inmate's commissary number. They'll come back over here, and it's all self-explanatory. It's all push-button, touch screen. They'll put the inmate's number in, and then they can actually go in and write them like a letter, and you can put 27 characters in here, tell them that you love them, what your name is, and then how much you put on. And as soon as it's placed on their commissary account and they're out in population, they will be able to go look at it as soon as it's placed on their books. What I'm describing you right now is a couple of procedures that we go through for release, the types of bonds. We actually have two different types that we deal with here, and one of them is a cash bond, which is like a warrant. When people come in for child support, they have to pay a certain amount to child support or a fine, court costs and fees. And then the other one is actually a surety bond, which is when they come in on a pre-charge. Could be just a new charge, and then they also have those on the warrants as well. When they come in, the surety bonds, you have to go through a bail bondsman, which when you come in, we let them use the phone to call the bail bondsman, and it takes them, there's some around here that they use. We can't really tell them which bonds person to use. And then we have the cash bonds, which they have to bring money orders up and bring those to our control booth. And during the day, they can pay them through the courts or anything like that. What I'm going to talk you through right now is our release procedure. When an inmate is being released, we have property tubs placed in our property room, and we bring those out, and everything that when they come in is placed in here. We'll bring them over here. Everything that they have is in one of these property tubs right here. All types of stuff that they have goes in there, and then we actually take count of everything that's in that property tub, and then the inmate uniforms that they come in, we actually go through that to make sure that they have everything that's turned in, because we issue them 2 uniforms, and then they also get blanket, mattress cover, and sheet. Everything that they bring to us we have to log as well everything that they have. So when they come in, we'll count all the stuff that they give us, and then we'll go through their property with them before they are released, so that way we make sure that they have everything.
Lieutenant Hose here again. Hope this has been informative to you and answered the questions you've had about the inner workings of the Delaware County Jail.
Hi, I'm Chief Deputy Jason Walker with the Delaware County Sheriff's Office. On behalf of the Sheriff, Michael Scroggins, and the Delaware County Sheriff's Office, we wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Be safe.
Well, that's all we have for you today on this version of the Sheriff Show. If you have ideas or comments regarding the Sheriff Show, please go to our website, DelawareCountySheriff.org, and send those in. This is Sheriff Mike Scroggins wishing you all well, and I'll see you next time.
We would like to thank the following underwriters for their support in producing this show. Put your business up for everyone to see. Hometown Outdoor Advertising, 765-288-9000. Bill Gaddis Chrysler, 1717 North Wheeling Avenue, the corner of Wheeling and Centennial. Dr. Janine M. Green, Royal Family Dentistry, 1804 West Royal Drive, 289-1578. McGalliard Guns and More, 800 West McGalliard, Muncie, Indiana. 288-GUNS, your one-stop gun shop. Reliable Bail Bonds, corner of Washington and North Walnut Street, Muncie, Indiana. 282-4787. Millennium Motors, 1001 East 29th Street, Muncie, Indiana. 282-2095. McDougal Family Fun Park, 2921 East Jackson, Muncie, Indiana. Go-karts, bumper boats, putt-putt, batting cages, something for everyone. 747-2893. Cardinal Laundry, 601 East Weiser Street, 744-2893. Big Daddy's Guns and More, Highway 1 south of 38 in Hagerstown, 530-8060. Northwest Towing and Recovery, Muncie location, 2900 North MLK, 288-4456. Anderson location, 1625 East 60th, 643-3333. Bob Lambert's Auto Body, 2801 North MLK, 289-0619. Taylor Sales, 2310 North MLK, Muncie, Indiana, 286-5010. Sam Pierce Chevrolet. The best Chevy deals are in the country. Located on State Road 67 between Muncie and Daleville.